this is going to be about doing courageous things.
We're going to be sharing transitions that we had faced in our lives, the changes and the challenges. And this right now, what we're doing is one of the transitions, is kind of how can we share what we've been through together. Because it's hard to find women that you can actually be friends with that are genuine and have similar interests.
Just put it out there. It's anytime Gianni and I meet up just to like eat a burger or something, we end up crying.
We cry. It's beautiful.
It's really cool. Our weekly cry. It's on my agenda. Weekly cry.
It's necessary.
Every time. But you get some. By talking, sharing, you get some of that out of you. But for me, a big scary transition was leaving my job, and how I found my now job is a story that I used to think was like only for kids from good families, like from a privileged background. I was like, that only happens to people from that life, and it happened to me. I went to the East Coast because I just didn't want to be around my home anymore. I hated LA. I honestly hated LA, and moved to the East Coast for 3 years to teach. I was a middle school teacher in the inner city. I don't like to call it that. It's my hood, but it was in one of Philadelphia's most failing schools. The state was going to close it down if we didn't get things right. We were across the street from the projects. There were many times when I went to leave dinner for families in the projects at 9-10 p.m. with one of our deans, and really glad he took me under his wing. But my students ended up showing me how resilient a person can be, even when nothing is given to you, and even when the system that's supposed to serve you, at the very least your education, fails you completely. It really put me in a place where I could be grateful. Came back to LA to teach a couple more years, and even though I've now realized like I was born to be a teacher, I hit a point in my 5th year of teaching, and I was in South Central LA teaching on a Sunday afternoon when I had a stack of papers and I was super stressed, and just every Sunday got depressed because of all the things I had to do and couldn't do. And I remember my mom came up to me and she was like, Giselle, hay que ir a comer lonche. Let's go eat lunch. And this anger in me just came up where I looked at her and I was like, Mom, I don't have time to go eat lunch. Don't you see all these papers? It was almost like this like little demon just fell in me, like an evil me. And the second it came out of me, I was like, I'm in a place in my life where I don't even have time to like go have lunch with my mom. And I realized like in that moment that so many things that I had been promised, because, you know, being a good girl, getting your education, like I had kind of created this like life for myself that I wasn't happy with. And I happened to have just bumped on Instagram. Like, I love quote accounts and all that. This quote that talked about how a lot of people, forget who said it, a lot of people die at 25 but aren't buried until 75 or 80. And in that moment it clicked for me. It was that I was one of those people who was alive but not living. And then a lot of things happened after that. I quit my job. I moved to San Francisco for a couple months, came back to LA, was on unemployment checks, took up surfing, started going to the gym for the first time in my life. So it was, you know, I was broken because a dream that was supposed to make me happy, you know, this career, this job, it didn't, and I just left it completely. And was sitting in my Venice Beach apartment and really quiet, like internally had just gotten to a place where like I was feeling healthier and happier again, and was like, I want to keep teaching. I don't know who I was talking to, like my neighbors upstairs or something. I keep teaching, but I want it to be about health and nutrition. And I happen to have a sister who I was living with. She is addicted to just being on Craigslist, just seeing what jobs are out there, and she 2 weeks later, after me talking out loud like a crazy woman to the heavens, I guess, she forwarded me. She's like, hey, don't you love these protein bars, these Quest bars? And I was like, I do. And so I showed up to their office, and it was even scarier when I got there because it was almost like a go-see, like an audition. There was like 200 to 300, maybe more, super fit, pretty, buff, lean cut people, and I was not yet I still don't consider myself that, but I was just beginning on my journey of being healthier. So that was a huge insecurity because once again I was being taken back to those days in it started happening in 6th grade when I was being teased and called names for being the girl who didn't have the cool clothes, who was a little overweight. Not a little overweight, I was really overweight. There was a time when I was invited on a trip to Tahoe and decided not to go because I went to look for a bathing suit at a Macy's and started trying on bathing suits and decided, like, I don't want anyone to see me like this. And so I canceled the trip. I was like, I'm not going. And I was taken back to that feeling in front of all these pretty people. And I stood in line and I knew, I was like, Giselle, you are going to go in there and you're going to show them everything that you are and the value that you can bring to them, and they're going to hire you. Like, I had a vision in my head. Like, I remember closing my eyes. Again, lots of crazy woman moments here. Closing my eyes and be like, they're going to hire you. Like, you're going to walk out of there with an offer. And I got in there. It was a long process, but they did offer me a job. And they didn't know exactly what I was going to do. They put me in their customer support team, which then to go back home and tell my parents, like, hey, mom and dad, like, I know you put me through college. Well, they didn't put me through college. They emotionally supported me through college. I have a master's degree in education, and to be like, I got a job at a protein company. I'm working customer support, which is a great starting point for anyone starting in their career. But that was really scary because my parents didn't understand, taking that leap. They also used to call...
Your dad called it...
He called it the candy company because he didn't understand, like, what it is that we did.
Protein bar.
Yeah.
It looks like candy.
Same thing. It looks like candy. It's delicious. And so that was another journey of patience and knowing, like, it's okay if they don't understand it. I know where I'm going, and I've been working for them for 4 years now, and it's a job that, like, when I was in college, and I went back to my college actually to do a talk, and I was like, guys, number one piece of advice is you're sitting in your seat right now, just like I was years ago. 10, 11, 12, I don't even know now. It's becoming some time. Many moons ago. And the company that I work for and the job that I have now didn't even exist. So who knows what will be created, what will even exist.
Or what would you create?
Or what would you create, exactly. So...